The zombie apocalypse started during third period Algebra 2, and I was the only one in the entire building who actually understood what was happening. Years of dedicated research, every zombie movie, every survival game, every late-night forum scroll had prepared me for this exact moment. While my classmates were busy worrying about prom and college applications, I had been studying the masters. I knew fast turners from slow shamblers. I knew the importance of high ground, resource control, and most critically, never letting civilians make decisions. So when Chad, the 220-pound linebacker who somehow passed every class on athletic eligibility, suddenly lunged across the group project table and bit Emily Park right on the forearm with a wet crunch, I didn't freeze like everyone else. Blood sprayed across 3 different notebooks. Emily screamed and stumbled backward into her desk. Chaos exploded. Desks scraped. People shouted. Sarah Chen started crying loudly while Jordan Patel backed into the whiteboard, knocking over a tray of markers. I climbed onto my chair, then stepped up onto my desk like a general addressing the troops. "Everyone remain calm," I shouted, projecting the voice I'd practiced in my bedroom mirror. "This is it. Classic fast turner outbreak. Rage virus symptoms. Under 60-second incubation. I've trained for this my whole life. Follow my lead and we all walk out of here heroes." While half the class was still processing what they'd just seen, I jumped down from my desk, sprinted to the front door, and twisted the lock with authority. Click. Perimeter secured. Textbook move. "What are you doing?" Alex Ramirez yelled, shoving past 2 other students. "Unlock the door. We need to get out of here." "Negative," I said firmly, holding up a hand like a traffic cop. "Standard protocol. Secure the room first, then control the exit. If we all rush out now, we'll spread the infection to the entire school. Trust the expert." Emily was already twitching on the floor, her eyes clouding over. Chad growled and lunged at the nearest person. Then the back door, the one I somehow overlooked, burst open. 3 freshly turned students stumbled in from the hallway, eyes already milky, jaws snapping. Pure panic erupted. People slammed against the locked front door, pounding desperately on the glass. Alex and Jordan wrestled with the handle, yanking and twisting with all their strength, but the old deadbolt had jammed solid, probably from years of paint buildup and zero maintenance. The door wouldn't budge. "You locked us in with them!" Sarah shrieked, her voice cracking in terror. "Open it! Open the fucking door!" "It's for everyone's safety," I shouted back. "Stop panicking and form a wedge around me. We can still—" Mr. Henderson tried playing hero with a meter stick, jabbing at Chad like it was a fencing foil. He went down swinging, teeth sinking into his shoulder. Someone's backpack flew past my head. A girl I barely knew kept repeating, "This isn't happening, this isn't happening," like a broken record, while 2 infected dragged her backward across the floor. Priya, the quiet calculus girl, grabbed my sleeve, eyes wide with fear. "The door! Open the door!" "Too late for that now," I replied, already scanning the room. "Window escape! Everyone to the windows! We adapt! Move!" Desks were shoved aside in a frenzy. Students scrambled over chairs and each other toward the row of classroom windows. Glass shattered as Tyler smashed one open with a chair. In the span of about 90 chaotic seconds, half the class was gone, either torn apart inside the room or left behind hammering uselessly on the jammed front door as the infected overwhelmed them. 11 of us spilled out through the broken windows, cutting our hands on glass and landing hard on the hallway outside. I did a quick head count once we regrouped and nodded confidently. Acceptable losses. The weak links have been culled early. That's basically a speed run. If they hadn't wasted time arguing with my perfectly logical lockdown, more might have made it out. Classic civilian error.
I immediately appointed myself Alpha Actual. New chain of command, me in charge. We're heading to the cafeteria. Food, water, potential weapons. Every expert agrees, secure supplies before you secure feelings. Tyler, a lanky kid from the soccer team, panted beside me. "This is insane. We should hide." "Hiding gets you surrounded," I said. "Real survivors move with purpose. Trust the guy who's been preparing since middle school. The main first-floor hallway looked perfect on paper. Wide, straight, good visibility. Just like the mall scene in Dawn of the Dead. We moved out. We made it halfway before we met the football team. 15 ex-jocks in torn jerseys shambled toward us like a very determined homecoming parade from hell. The hallway turned into pure pandemonium. Sarah screamed and tried to run back the way we came. Jordan froze. People scattered exactly as I had warned them not to. "Stay in formation," I bellowed. "Alpha team clear. Hold the damn line." 6 more people disappeared in under 2 minutes. Alex was tackled from behind. Jordan vanished around a corner with 3 zombies on his heels. I herded the remaining 5, Priya, Tyler, Sophie, a kid named Lucas, and me, through a side door into the cafeteria kitchen and barricaded it with heavy stainless steel shelves. I wiped sweat from my forehead and turned to the survivors. "See, that's what happens when you ignore tactical instructions. Tragic, but Darwin was right. If Sarah had stayed with the group instead of screaming, she might still be contributing." The cafeteria kitchen was a treasure trove. I distributed weapons like a generous warlord. Long carving knives, metal spatulas that could double as clubs, rolling pins, and 2 industrial fire extinguishers. "Headshots only," I lectured. "Destroy the brain. Anything else is just giving them a really bad headache and extra motivation." To demonstrate proper form, I explained the shoulder pivot technique in detail. Full torque, maximum follow-through. I brought a fire extinguisher down in a perfect arc onto an imaginary skull. Mr. Ramirez, the PE teacher who had somehow joined our group earlier, interrupted. "Kid, we should head to the principal's office and—" "Respectfully, coach," I cut in. "You coach basketball, I study the apocalypse. Watch and learn." For live practice, I smashed a small window overlooking the loading dock. 1 zombie immediately shuffled towards the sound. "Observe," I said proudly. 2 other teachers who had been hiding nearby heard the glass and rushed over to help. They lasted about 4 seconds. Mr. Ramirez tried to play hero again and join them. I lowered the extinguisher. Well, that was unnecessarily dramatic. If they'd waited 10 seconds for my guidance, they'd still be contributing members of society instead of walking appetizers.
Tyler stared at me. "You just got 3 adults killed." "Technically, they got themselves killed," I corrected. "I provided optimal education. They chose suboptimal listening. Big difference." I introduced communication protocol next. We use safe calls. Alpha team clear means the area ahead is secure. Bravo sound off for status. This keeps everyone coordinated. Lucas muttered, "Or we could just shut up so we don't die." I chuckled. "Quiet is for solo stealth missions, Lucas. We're a squad. Squads need protocol. Trust the process." By early afternoon, we relocated to the chemistry lab on the 2nd floor. Perfect command center. Elevated position, flammable chemicals for improvised explosives, and full access to the school PA system. I divided roles efficiently. Essential personnel. Me, Priya, smart and quiet, Tyler, who followed orders most of the time, and Sophie. She had smiled at me during Spirit Week, so clearly leadership material. Lucas and the 2 others were support. One kid called it bait, I called it smart resource management. I got on the PA and made my first official broadcast, voice calm and authoritative. "Attention all survivors, this is Alpha Actual. Safe zones are the chemistry lab, roof access, and the band room. Move carefully and use my safe calls. Help is coming. Stay strong." The band room was 80% likely compromised, but positive messaging builds morale. Mike, my occasional homeroom buddy who had joined us late, had a nasty bite on his wrist. He looked pale and sweaty. "I got you, bro," I said confidently. "Hydrogen peroxide kills infection. Blue Gatorade replaces electrolytes. I saw this exact protocol on a wilderness medicine channel. I mixed a strong batch and made him chug it." Mike projectile vomited across 3 lab tables within 30 seconds. Then he lunged at my throat with surprising speed. We had to put him down. Sophie looked horrified. "You made him drink that?" "He didn't drink it with enough commitment," I sighed.
Amateur hour. The YouTube guy made it look so easy. The 4 remaining members of the basketball team volunteered for a vending machine supply run near the gym. I gave them detailed instructions and reminded them to use safe calls every 30 seconds. We heard "Alpha Team Clear" echo down the hall as they left. We never heard it again. Deviated from the plan, I sighed. Unfortunate. At least they died doing something useful, like providing a distraction. The afternoon brought more valuable learning experiences. We tried rescuing a group trapped in the library. Lucas thought he heard his friend calling. My plan involved using a fire alarm as a distraction. The distraction worked perfectly on every zombie in the East Wing. The library group didn't make it. Lucas barely escaped. "See," I told my shrinking team as we retreated, "they should have moved when I said move. Timing is everything." Lucas, good hustle though. Later, Priya actually questioned my decision to kick open the principal's office door for the master keys. "Maybe we should leave that room alone? It sounds bad in there." "Leadership requires bold action," I replied, right before 3 more infected poured out. We lost another support member. "Bold action sometimes has side effects," I added cheerfully. By late afternoon, only 8 of us remained. The school smelled of smoke and panic. Distant moans echoed through the halls like the worst world's choir practice. "Time for the final extraction plan," I announced, gathering everyone around a lab table. "We start a controlled fire in the science wing. The smoke and flames will pull the horde away from the east exit. While they're distracted, we slip out to the parking lot. I've studied wind direction from the windows. This is a hybrid tactic pulled from the best sources. Foolproof." The group looked exhausted. Sophie whispered to Priya, "Is he serious?" But nobody had a better idea, because mine was the only good one. We prepared methodically. The fire started small and respectable. It did not stay small and respectable. Thick black smoke rolled through the corridors. The infected began converging enthusiastically. "Move! Stay tight behind me," I ordered. The plan worked brilliantly for about 4 minutes. Then a bookshelf filled with chemistry textbooks toppled, cutting off the support group. Their screams echoed behind us. The designated side exit was blocked by a vending machine, probably dragged there by the basketball team during their final snack mission. While the others struggled, I made the tactically sound decision to reposition through a narrow side stairwell. I emerged alone into the cool evening air near the auditorium, coughing but alive. The rest of the group didn't emerge. I slipped inside the auditorium, barricaded the heavy wooden doors with chairs, a metal equipment cart, and rolled up curtains, then collapsed onto the edge of the stage. Alone at last. For a long moment, I sat there in the near darkness, listening to the distant crackle of flames and occasional groans. My hands trembled slightly, from adrenaline and righteous frustration, obviously. I pulled out my phone. The screen glowed like a beacon of hope. Everyone else had failed because they refused to follow proven protocol. The locked door had bought us critical seconds. The hallway route was optimal. The safe calls maintained order. The fire created the necessary distraction. My leadership was flawless. They simply weren't mentally or intellectually prepared the way I was. A heavy thud sounded against the auditorium doors, then scraping, groaning, multiple bodies pressing against the wood. I stood up slowly, brushing dust off my jeans with dignity. New strategy forming. I could fortify here, then break for the roof or hotwire a car. Options were endless when you possessed superior knowledge. The doors rattled harder. The barricade shifted an inch. I smiled thinly in the darkness. "This is fine," I whispered, voice calm and confident. "I have a brand new plan, multiple contingency layers. Trust me on this. I know exactly what I'm doing." The scraping grew louder. Wood began to splinter. I adjusted my grip on the fire extinguisher. "Round 2, I said to the empty auditorium. "This time,
I won't have to carry dead weight. The first door panel cracked. I grinned. Zombies had a good run, but the expert is still undefeated.